we are going to talk through some pros and cons of YouTube, being on YouTube, what it's about being on YouTube. And I want to, this is not us having a go at YouTube or anything like that. This is just an open forum to talk about different stuff and get a general idea of what it is to be trying to grow a channel, really. And if I start by opening it up to the floor and say, what parts of YouTube is a good idea? What has it opened up to you guys? What do you praise YouTube as a platform more than anything else?
I think it's really good at giving people a voice, so anyone can have that voice. And I think that's the wonderful thing about free speech. It's the wonderful thing about living in a democracy. Not to get too deep on the subject, but have those abilities to have a platform to say your piece, regardless of whether or not people agree with that piece is something else. But to have that platform to do that is a great thing, and I think it is an important thing that people should keep. In terms of retro gaming, it's fantastic because it means I get to find other people that like the hobby that I like.
Yeah.
I'm drawn to quirky channels, people that are just normal people. Of course, I watch IGN and I watch Games Radar and Kotaku and all the big people that have got all these fancy things that go on with their channels. But I'm always drawn to interesting people, quirky people who I would meet at a convention and think, oh yeah, you're fun. We've got something in common. So I think YouTube as a positive thing, it gives people a good voice, but it also brings a lot of people together. That can only be a good thing.
Totally agree. Anyone want to expand on that one?
I think Ollie's covered some really good points there. I don't really know what else to add to that. I suppose it's just the community business, like being able to comment on other people. Like, it's always nice to get comments and likes and that interaction, and giving other people's videos comments and things like that. It's just, I suppose you get that nice gratification if you put a lot of effort into a video, and then people are like, you always get like your friends and family be like, oh, that was a good video, or commenting and stuff. When you get some complete random person on the internet that just goes, oh, that was a really great video, guys, I've given you a subscription. It's like, it's great to know that people that are completely unbiased, that don't have to say that they like your content, have gone out of their way to make a nice comment on your video. That's just really, you get a few negative comments, but the nice comments far outweigh the bad ones, and it's just gives you a really nice sense of satisfaction, I think. And it's nice to give that to other people as well. If you see a good video, chuck them a comment saying what you think. I think it's quite it's quite a friendly space. I found in a lot of sense. Like, if you compare it to something like, I don't know, like Twitter, or some areas of the internet can get a bit heated, can't they? Like, the comment section turns into the Wild West a bit. But my experience on YouTube has been fairly positive, though.
I think that's part of the platform, though. I think if you're looking for something quick, you'd probably go to Twitter, because it's very, you send a few lines and people respond to it instantly. With a video, you kind of have to have some sort of dedication or some sort of commitment to watch a few minutes. Not everybody. Some people just watch the first 5 minutes and that's it. They've made their mind up. But if you've watched a 10 to 15 minute video, generally the people who are quick to respond and nasty and malicious will be gone because they haven't watched the content and haven't got anything to make comment on. And I think what I really liked about the platform especially is that a lot of the stuff I grew up with, Sega Saturn, N64, GameCube, I was the only one. A lot of my other friends were into other Xbox or PlayStation, so there wasn't many of I was the only kid with those consoles. When I went on YouTube and I found other people had the same opinion, and people said what it was like growing up as a GameCube fan, for example, and I was like, yes, I wasn't alone. There was other people that kind of agreed with me, and you get that sort of like-minded connection with people, don't you?
100%. It's that, and I think that connection element of it is really important, because I still would have searched for these kind of quirky people and channels that I tend to gravitate towards, regardless of if we had a YouTube channel. The difference is now, because we do have a YouTube channel, we will reach out to them in a way of, well, look, we've also got a channel. It'd be great to talk to you, or it'd be great to share this idea, or collaborate with you, do something with you. So we actually end up actively seeking to speak to these people, as opposed to just be the voyeur and just watch these people. I think you've just nailed it with that word, connectivity. That's what YouTube generally does. It either connects you as a voyeur to the person that you to watch, or if you're also a creator, it connects you with somebody creatively as well, which is great.
Yeah,
There are people that we've met through YouTube who I would never have known existed in the world, probably ever, because the world is such a big place and YouTube is such a huge space. But because we do have this connectivity and this way to meet people, we have met them, and it's great.
Yeah, totally. Flipping that on its head, what are the negative things of YouTube that you've come across? What things really get in the way of what we talked about and being a content creator?
Well, I've got another positive.
Oh, okay. Sorry, go ahead. Thanks, Dorbs. We may just keep it positive as long as we can.
Yeah, I like to be positive.
Good stuff. Good man.
Touching on what we've just said, it's great that you can speak to people that you never thought you'd speak to. So, like Christian Din, for example, on Games Master,
nice guy,
joystick winner. Retro Rivals in Canada. I mean, you would never speak to them whatsoever. So it's just nice to speak to, and of course Rick Waller, good friend of the show. I mean, speaking to Rick was just amazing, and obviously all the other guests we've had on have been phenomenal. But I quite like, and this is going to sound horrible, but I quite like the free stuff as well. So we got some free Manscaped stuff was sent to us.
Nice,
which is good.
We do have to plug that for that. To be fair, we do have to plug it.
We do have to plug it, but
me and Mike haven't got to that level yet where we've had any of those kind of offers.
No, but
it's a good product, by the way.
It is a good product, yeah. They sent us like freebies.
Link in the Discord,
which is mad.
Yeah.
So I was completely blown away by that. It's like, how on earth have we been approached by a sponsor already? That was crazy. Like, to think that someone has given us something to talk about on the internet because people are listening to what we have to say on the internet.
Yeah.
The idea of that to me was just like, I can't believe that's actually happened. That's great.
Yeah. So free stuff is a bonus. Plus, also, we got a free PS5 charger, fan charger thing. We got sent that, which is good. And be invited to OLL as well. That was, if we didn't do YouTube or anything like that, we never got that invite and never met people like yourself there. Never spoke to other people. So I think that's quite a positive as well. Being a small part of the community, and so far 99% of the people that we've spoken to have been absolutely phenomenal.
All the things that the internet do particularly well, which is bring people together, and I think that's what people had in mind when they made these platforms and stuff. I don't think anyone ever made it to be a cesspool like some places can be. It was about, wouldn't it be cool if we just bring these people closer together, and the only thing that's keeping them away is distance. So
I would say a massive pro is the friends I've made from YouTube, like Essex Retro Gamer. I speak to him 2-3 times a week on the phone. I would class him as a really good friend of mine now, and if we hadn't have had this YouTube channel, that friendship probably would never have happened. And it's the same with Crazy Burger YouTube channel and James from It's Much More as well. I would class them as like good friends of mine now, and that is what YouTube has given to me and to the rest of us.
Absolutely.
I think another positive, a different spin, more sort of the creator side of it is I do have a bad habit of maybe looking at figures too much, but there's always that certain amount of pride I get when, like, if someone watches, if I release a video and someone watches it, that's great. But when I can tell by the numbers that that at least one person has watched one video, and then watched another one, and then another one, and then another one, there's that sense of like pride with it, because you think, well, they're not just watching it because they like talking about, like, say, I don't know, like Silent Hill 2 or something. They're watching it because they just like my content in general. I think that's one of the most gratifying elements of it, and one of the reasons why I'm still doing it is because, like, people are gravitating towards the content, and I think that's one of the pros as a creator is, I mean, just that validation of, what I'm doing is good, it is clicking with people are enjoying it. And I never get told whether I get 50 views or 300 views. It's always nice to see that people like it regardless. It's more so just lack of exposure.
And I think anyone that just sort of, I guess, feeding into that, anyone that says, I don't care about the views, I don't care about the subs, we care. We don't care a great deal about it. Of course you do care about it, because otherwise it's just not there, there'd be no point to having it. Like you say, it is gratifying when you get an extra sub, or 2 or 3 subs. We message each other when the sub count goes up by 1. That's how, because we're like, oh yeah, another person likes us, hooray! And it is great. You get that dopamine hit, don't you, when people connect with a video and do that kind of thing. It's a natural part of being a creator of anything. I've got a friend who's a very good graphic designer, and he always creates incredible stuff. And when people connect with it, of course, that's gratifying. So anyone that has a YouTube channel and creates content who says they don't care about those things, I can't imagine that's a true statement, because everybody does care about it, even if it is just a little bit. Would we change anything we're doing? Increase things? Probably not, because that's not what we want to do. We want to just create things that we have fun creating. But I completely agree with you. It's gratifying when someone else connects with it. Absolutely.
We've got people who will always be on all of our live streams as well.
Yeah.
We've started to build that little, it's not a huge number, but there's always the same, who we have, they found our channel and now they're on this journey with us, you could say. So we always like to give them, we try and give as many people a shout out as we can during our stream, but those who really make an effort with us, we will always try and, give them a shout out at the start of all our streams, or try and push their questions to our guests.
And you never forget those people either. You never forget the first person who comments on a bunch of videos. You never forget the first person who interacts with all the live streams and things like that. You always, those people, to them, they're like, oh, it's just another creator that I enjoy watching. But then to the people on the other end, for the creators, it's almost like there's they don't quite understand how much you appreciate them sticking around. And I think that's, no matter how much you say it, they don't quite, they'll never quite understand just how much you appreciate, because without them we wouldn't be doing what we're doing, or at least not to the same level.
Yeah, and there's two things if I can discuss these. That one is always nice when we're doing a stream and in the chat, like a previous guest is in the chat with us, like Radical Reggie. Probably the last, I don't know, dozen videos that we've done, live streams that we've done, he's always in the chat saying hi, which is really, really cool. That's always a massive buzz for us. And of course we got a couple of fans as well. So one even come with us to OLL and basically spent the whole weekend with us, Nick Craddock. Nice. So big love for Nick as well. He met us OLL on Friday night and spent the whole weekend with us, which is really cool. And
there's always, and I'm sure you won't mind me mentioning his name, Rob Taylor. He's on all of our streams.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying that, he looks at us as like, these guys are a big deal, and he loves any interaction that we have with. No, but he does. I sent him some beer mats that we made up, and he was so chuffed. He filmed a video of it, put it on our channel, and that, and it's just nice to make someone happy who really appreciates what we do, and we really appreciate him for what he does for us as well.
Yeah, Rob's a top
One thing I think we did that was really good fun as well was the Among Us games. We've had a few Among Us games with a few other content creators, but also just people from our Facebook group that are just fans that have joined in. And Ryan organised a couple of Among Us games, and people like Nick and Rob have been on those and just joined in playing a game. So that's been fun as well. Just interact with. We interact with other YouTubers, but then we're also interacting with people that just like to follow us. That's been good as well.
Having a platform to sort of express your love of a topic in video form, and having other people sort of watch back and listen. I mean, a lot of the first people that watched my videos and my friends were kind of like, I like the way you're structuring it. It's really good that you're talking about these things. I didn't know you had these opinions, and this is actually quite fun. So having a platform to sort of do all that and talk about a subject you really like, and having all these people come together and to talk about it is fantastic. But do you want to hear what the first comment I ever got on YouTube was?
Yeah, go on.
So the first video I ever launched was me playing Smash Brothers as Ken on Street Fighter, and I didn't have any voice. It was just Ken's theme music, me playing Smash Brothers, going like that, with a couple of speech bubbles that come up every so often, just highlights of me playing it. and I just had this guy, and it was the only comment I had for the first 6 months of my YouTube career as such, or lack thereof, and it just says, "This is tragic."
Wow.
That was the only comment I had on any of my videos, and I released a video a week for 2 years straight, and that was the only comment I had on a lot of the first things. So
Wow.
that spurred me on.
nicely.
So if you're still listening to my content, I really appreciate it. You're the one that kept me going. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Always look at the positives.
Yeah, that's it. It's another positive. That wasn't negative.
Yeah.
So what annoys us about YouTube? What is there? Oh, sorry. Go on.
I was just going to say, I just looked what our first couple of comments were.
Oh yeah,
on
go
our
for it.
videos.
Go for it.
Okay, so we've got one that says, "Nice stream, guys. Sorry I missed it live." And then the second one says, "Hey yo, did somebody mention the Evercade? That jabroni punk can't even emulate basic 16-bit systems properly. The RG351 emulates what you want, whenever you want. Survey says, one more for the good guys, for life."
Clearly a wrestling fan in there.
The lake
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's a
Awesome
cool
stuff.
comment.
So yeah,
That's
what
cool.
annoys us about YouTube? What really grinds our gears? Is there anything that comes to mind straight away?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, again, we're not gonna. We don't like starting things because we generally like to be happy people. We like to make friends with where we go. People are very, very quick to judge anything you do on the internet, and especially if you do it on YouTube, people are really, really quick to have a pop at you about anything. So the couple of things that I would probably touch on would be when we initially were streaming and talking about the Amico. You know, we weren't favourable to it, but we would always say, "But I hope it finds its audience because you know there's a place for everything, and a new games console is great." So you know, whatever. Which led to Tommy coming on the channel to basically try and sell us the Amico. We got an hour of hearing about his industry experience, which he is a legendary in, and then we got an hour talking about the Amico. And then because at the end of that stream we kind of went, okay, all right, we're now interested in the Amico. This is something we will actively follow, and we'll look forward to seeing how it develops. There was a Reddit page set up about us that said, you know, we're shills, we've been bought by Tommy, he's given us money to say these things, and we didn't actually say anything other than, oh, that sounds cool. That was it. We never once said, oh, we're going to buy one, we're going to pre-order them, or anything like that. I think Blunders might have pre-ordered one off the back of that because he thought, oh, this is, you know, I'm gonna invest in this. Let's see how this goes. He's now cancelled it, by the way.
And got his
They're
money
all
back.
cancelled now.
Yeah. But just because we didn't change our minds, but because this person had come onto our channel and kind of upsold us this platform of what he wanted it to be, and we kind of bought into the vision of, all right, well, we're going to follow this now and see where it goes. People just were like, you know, the hardcore haters decided to set up a page about us, and it was like Dorbs interacted with these people, and you're like, what the hell is going on here? We got barely 250 subs, and there's probably as many comments in this Reddit thread about what, you know, that we've been paid off. It's like, I wish we'd been paid off. Christ, that'd have been great. But
That would be nice.
We never done an Amico video after that either, so I don't know why people thought we were on his page. We never pushed it, we never promoted it, and we never mentioned it again till about a month, 2 months ago.
Yeah, it was a weird one. I guess the other negative thing we're only recently, I guess, experiencing with YouTube is you have any type of growth, regardless of whether it's you know, after I released that 3DS video, we had the little growth of about, you know, 20 subs. You know, Ryan's video yesterday, because the Evercade's a bit of a topic over the last 24 hours, we've had another couple of extra subs. The moment you have any type of growth, people just immediately go, "You've bought subs."
Yeah.
Really?
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. People will actively say, you know, we're quite lucky in the friends that we've got in various places, in various groups, and various. We've got our fingers in a lot of pies because we like people. We're all very social people. We love meeting new people, and you know, people talk. That's the one good thing you can always guarantee about people is people talk. And you know, people have said in other groups, "Oh, they bought subs." Like, have we? you can't just do us the credit of that video did all right and gave us 20 subs. 20.
Well, this is that's what I was going to go on to say. What makes me laugh about that comment is like, yeah, you're going to put some hardcore money down, get 20 subs.
Yeah. Exactly. Like if we were buying subs, we'd be in the tens of thousands. By
exactly.
Now. We'd be riding that high.
We could split the cost, couldn't we? So easily.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you're going to do something wrrong, do it right. Just buy.
Exactly. That is my favourite phrase in life.
One of the first sort of things I joined because before I met Mike and before I was part of OLL, sort of helping them out and stuff like that. I went on a lot of these Facebook groups that kind of say you can post the link to your video here, and they've got like tens of thousands of people that will see it. The only thing they don't tell you is all those tens of thousands of people, all YouTubers trying to get their posts and get other views, not necessarily things looking at stuff.
Yeah.
But all that attracted was people trying to, follow me back or message me, and I'll get you these subs and I'll sell you these subs and stuff. But that clearly doesn't work, because if you don't transition that from view time and actual views, the sub count is only part of it. It's impressive when you go to someone and say, "Oh yeah, I got 26,000 subscribers," and they go, "Oh wow, okay." How much of those are actually active is a big difference about how your channel's going to grow, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
It also depends what content you were making at the time you got those subs. It's like some channels will make a certain type of content, gain loads of subs, and then they move on to something else. And those people that are watching for a certain topic might no longer watch, but they're still subscribed. There's all sort of that part of it as well. So
yeah, I think that's probably my. I don't have a problem with YouTube first and foremost. I think my problems with I don't think YouTube can be any other way. There's a lot of people that would suggest YouTube needs to be, they need to change this and they change that. Well, that's fine if it suits you, but I can imagine there's just as many people that if you change it, they'll be unhappy too, and that's a difficult balance.
Yeah,
I think really it just comes down to people. People will be people, but what really I find difficult, and it's not really YouTube's fault, but it's difficult to sort of make that decision, and I've stuck to it to my detriment really. Is like you say, you make a certain type of video and people join because they think, oh, that's a good video, I can't wait till the next one. But if my channel is a very variety channel. There'll be straight up gameplay, there'll be reviews, there'll be kind of funny, goofy ones where I'm kind of putting on a play, and then there'll be there's such a variety of different types of content on mine by design because I want to do that kind of stuff, but it does nothing for the algorithm, for what people want. If people follow, they want just reviews, then they'll be put off because the other 5-6 videos you do is not what they want. If you do interviews and they just want to watch interviews, and you do one interview every 6 months because you want to do all the other stuff that's on there, it kind of drives people away. But I think you need to make a decision, do you not, to sort of say, this is who I am, and stick to it. And if you keep changing, you're only going to make matters worse.
I would completely agree with that, and there are some channels that have made a living out of that. You've only got to look at Rooster Teeth. When I used to run a games website years ago, a long time ago, way before this, and we'd set it up originally because we wanted to be the new IGN, and we started doing all right. We were getting 20,000 unique hits a day, which is a good number. It's a number that you can start moving into the next league with it. There are foundations of people that build their entire community based on that. So Rooster Teeth for me was I used to watch Rooster Teeth all the time, and because they've grown into this huge, expansive enterprise now, they can have all these various pockets that people would join for, but now in various different places. So it's still under the Rooster Teeth banner, but you've now got the anime section where they make Ruby, or they've got the news section which now has its own YouTube channel. So they eventually figured out, right, there are lots of people that like all these different things. We're going to fragment it off so people can go to those places for those specific things, but it's still just Rooster Teeth, the main thing. And IGN are great for that as well. They've always been the big hitters, but they originally started as an N64 review company, and it just things have just grown for those businesses. So I think stay in the course. If that's what you believe in, that's what you think you want to make, and ultimately you want to make content that you enjoy making. Otherwise it's just boring. It's just a job, and most people go to work and just do it because it gives them the money to live, whereas people create because they're creative. So you may as well create the things that you enjoy creating, and if that hits with people, fantastic.
Yeah, I've always liked that kind of Saturday morning TV show, where you sat down at 7 o'clock in the morning and then you just had such a variety of different shows and up until about 11, 12 o'clock. And everything was different. You had action, you had comedy, you had drama, you had everything. And that's what I try to do with my stuff, is kind of have that variety. But there's so much of it. And any person who trains you how to do YouTube or says this is what you should do, they just say you should stay in your lane and do one topic and one subject, and that's what people will buy. And even when people binge watch, if you binge watch a lot, you tend to binge watch one show. So it's that I wish we lived it. I don't know. I think it's a lost art. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. If I feel that variety is sometimes taken away, and if you move out of your lane, that's kind of, this is not what I subscribe to. That's not necessarily a bad thing. If you're known for, I don't know, Sega Master System, and then you start doing N64, I don't think that should be a bad thing. You should be able to do that. So
100%. Yeah, not a problem with that at all.
I think like part of the problem with me for YouTube is kind of like how, obviously, as it's become more and more of a business, like the overwhelming amount of like corporations that have just kind of got a stranglehold on a lot of things. I feel like it's there's certain things that irk me, like why when I search up like any random gaming topic do I randomly come across a 30-second like clip from a Twitch stream where there's a woman like draped like with a boobs like nearly hanging out. Like, why is that?
Why is that, Mike? What are you been up to?
Why is that showing up when I type in like HDMI cables on YouTube?
Maybe you should answer that question, Mike.
Yeah.
It's like, and
you Google search it.
Like the corporation. It's almost like, I think nowadays I kind of gravitate towards personalities more than content, because I think
100%.
like IGN, I just see them as like a factory. For like, you see a review, you don't know who's reviewing it half the time, you don't know who's writing it. Sometimes the person writing it is different to the person who's voicing over it, and it's like, and like Rooster Teeth have kind of gone down that sort of route, and it's kind of like, if I look at the content creators I watch, it's people who do a lot of incredible content but just kind of do it by themselves. It's very like Scott the Woz is one that everyone sort of is aware of. He does amazing stuff. Donkey03, that sort of thing. So I think
I would.
Yeah, it's go on.
And I was going to say I completely agree with that. Some of the I mean they're I guess they're bigger channels now, but for like the movie side of things that I like, I really like watching Cool Duda. Sean C. Phillips. Just a really normal guy. He's now gotten into making movies. They're B movies, but he knows they're B movies.
Yeah.
Danny Sinestalker, again, these are all just normal people who make normal videos about things that I enjoy, because they're not, like you say, the big factory pumping, IGN kind of people. I kind of connect with them, and there's something personal about them. I generally go to places like IGN and Kotaku for their reviews purely because they're all gameplay reviews.
Yeah.
I don't generally listen to a great deal of what they're saying unless it's particularly important to the video they're showing. So if they're talking about a particular fight mechanic, they'll talk about it in a way that they're trying to either sell or dissell you the game, and I can tell from the way it looks and the way it plays whether or not I agree with that. But they're not my necessary go-tos, but
I've gotten to the point now where I have a YouTuber for every topic. Like, it's you kind of get to know these personalities so well that you'll be like, oh, a new JRPG's come out, I'm going to go to my resident like JRPG, or like there's a new fighting game, like and it's kind of sort of become like that. So it's very much like I'd rather, instead of kind of one channel that does everything and does it okay, I'd rather have specific channels that hone on specific things. I mean, I'm saying that from someone who just kind of reviews whatever the hell they want, but so
that's good. It's good.
I mean,
One thing
Retro Rick
I
does
find
a lot of that, doesn't he? Retro Rick in America, he does everything. He is just basically, if it's 90s, 80s, and it's nostalgic, he'll talk about it. And he goes videos where he goes to the British equivalent of boot sales. He go to a flea market just to see what weird things he can pick up there. He'll then do reviews of new games that he's picked up. He'll do updates of his room to sort of show you all the various things he's into, but it's predominantly pop culture. That is his thing that he sells. It's pop culture. But I watch it for everything because I like pop culture myself as well. But I'd imagine there are people that go to him purely for his video game stuff. There'll be people that go to him purely for his flea market videos. But it's still one person that has but because he loves it, I think that's the key thing. You were talking about, you go for the personality rather than necessarily always the content. Because someone like Retro Rick is so passionate about what he talks about, even the things that you're maybe not so interested in, I'll still watch because I like him.
I feel like you learn that way as well. If you get really attracted to the personality of the person that you're watching, you kind of get clued onto it. Because I remember watching a random video on like Doom Eternal speed runs, and it kind of got me a new appreciation for the game. And now it's I've got the sword from Doom Eternal tattooed.
Beautiful. That is beautiful.
It's like might be my favourite first-person shooter.
It's
and
been
I'm not
a
really
bit of an
massive fan
obsession
the
since he
genre.
discovered it. He's got figures and everything.
It's gone out of control.
Yeah,
but like,
it's a good one.
Hey you! Yeah, you! Do you like video games? Do you like kick-ass characters? Do you like action and adventure? Then you should go to RagingDestiny.com and get your copy of Raging Destiny, an action-packed fantasy fiction today. A novel written by a gamer for a gamer. That's right, written by me, Bill, from Pop Culture Pause Screen. It's a non-stop thrill ride with in-depth characters that very well could be your next favourite franchise. There isn't any slowing down in this book, oh no. Every chapter is designed to keep you reading and wanting to know what happens next. You can find out more at RagingDestiny.com, and I thank you in advance for your support. Now, back to the show.
Going back to a positive about YouTube is it's a great educational tool, even within the, what we're passionate about when it comes to if there's any problems with the actual content related stuff. It's so easy to just put it up on YouTube if we want to learn about a new game coming out, or if we want to learn about, just maybe games that we'd never heard of that we want to get into. Or I've been over the past couple months been delving into the Mega Drive's library, playing games I've never played before, like Gunstar Heroes and stuff. So YouTube's been absolutely amazing for that. So I think that's one of the better aspects of YouTube, personally.
Tim, was there something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I was going to say one thing that I really don't like is spoilers. Really don't like getting spoiled stuff. I want to go in blind to things.
Oh man,
I try and avoid spoilers as best I can.
That is the worst for wrestling. Wrestling spoilers are
I was
absolutely
about to
terrible.
mention, I don't follow any wrestling channels at the moment because you have to be up to date. Because the problem is the tweets or the video will have somebody holding a belt up in the thumbnail. So I've not watched the pay-per-view yet, so now I've seen that in my feed. I've not even clicked on watching the video, but I've seen who's won the main event or something.
I hate it.
And you mentioned you referred to them as like factory YouTube channels. When you have like spoiler warnings on stuff, the smaller content creators and the smaller personalities will put spoiler warnings on, and they won't give anything away in the thumbnail or the title. They'll just tell you what they're talking about. It's the bigger channels that are like run by a marketing team rather than individual people doing it. These factory channels that will put out spoiler stuff. It's like, whenever I've had something spoiled recently on like Facebook or something, it's not been a friend of mine who's put a comment on Facebook that's revealed something in a film. It's been an article, something where the image for the article is something that happens in the movie that you didn't want to know.
But the thing is, they do that because they don't care if you click because you want to watch it or click because you hate it. You've still clicked to have a complaint and say, "Oh my god, why did you put this in?"
People will comment complaining that they've done that, and you'll get loads of comments and get pushed up.
That's why you keep doing it.
Comment on that. I hate that. I hate that these big channels should know better, and they should be the ones spoiling it. And you get things like a lot of the Marvel stuff. They'll put a little, public service announcement saying, "Do not spoil, Spider-Man: No Way Home" or something. And it's not the fans spoiling it; it's these bigger companies who just want to get the hits. And they'll put, I don't know, a picture that's got Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in the thumbnail and things like that. It's like,
spoiler.
There's been out a while now, though. There's spoiler etiquette, isn't there? And everyone knows that now. But at the start, when it first came out, not everyone knew that people were going to be in that film because it hadn't been revealed yet. And it wasn't small content creators giving letting the cat out of the bag. It was the big heavy hitters. I can remember with I had actually seen it, so I didn't spoil it. But I can remember thinking it was bad form. Was in Endgame, which has been out for a while now. Spoilers. But there's the scene where Captain America holds Mjolnir, isn't he? He picks it up. And it's like, that was a really cool moment in the film I didn't see coming. I was like, oh, wow, that's awesome, because it kind of has that image that's in one of the comics as well. Yeah. And somebody put an article out, and the thumbnail was Captain America holding Mjolnir. It's like, that's a pretty big moment in the film, just to give away in a picture. And it's been out like 2 days. It's like, not everyone has seen it yet. That's one of my biggest bugbears of like those bigger channels and bigger entities on the internet.
Yeah, but they're chasing the numbers though, Tim.
Yeah.
So and you say about wrestling spoilers, the big market for wrestling is America, so they would have watched it live, so they're going to push it.
Yeah.
And it's not suitable for us, but their market is America, isn't it? That's
the thing is, though, if a smaller content creator puts something out there, they could put my reaction to who won at WrestleMania or something. They don't have to name the person that won and a picture of them holding a belt. Like I say, it's the ones that
they're the worst. They get me all the time because I'll forget that a pay-per-view was on because it's not the
premium live event.
Oh, sorry, premium live event. Yes, you're right. I forget they're on because the first thing I think about Monday morning is, I've got work. And I know sometimes they're on Saturdays nowadays, but historically they were on a Sunday. And the first thing I'll do when I wake up in my drunken stupor is check YouTube for new content. And I'll see 3 thumbnails come up from my favourite YouTubers that provide me wrestling information, and every single one of them is holding a belt up of who won the match the night before. It's like, why? Well, I know why, but So, sorry, go on.
Oh, no, I was just laughing. I was agreeing, laughing at what you're saying. So I always make that mistake with Facebook, not YouTube. It's usually Facebook. And I'm like, for God's sake.
I stay off of Facebook. If there's a pay-per-view that I want to watch, I'm not watched yet, I just don't go on Facebook.
Yeah, I try to, but sometimes you just forget because it's so natural when you wake up, you check your phone and you're like, So I log out of everything. So if I accidentally click on it, then I would have to log back in. So that's my new tactic, or leave my phone in airplane mode all day.
Good shout.
I think the biggest problem I have with YouTube is probably a bit of a pretentious one because I don't really know what the answer is, but I do think it's a flaw, and that's the search option. Because when you think about it, it doesn't really lend itself for you to find something new, because you're left up to your own devices to search what you want. So therefore, you get stuff that you directly links into what you think you look up. So video games, my favorite Mega Drive stuff, that kind of stuff. So if anything's new or out there, there's no real keywords that you could put in to YouTube to try and find if someone's really doing something unique. The person that comes to mind for me, and it might be a bit dark for some people, so be warned, is a guy called James Lee. And he does a lot of content where he does animation over his face, and you kind of have to see it to understand it, but you would not know what to search to find it. But if you look up James Lee's content, he's really good, but he really struggles to grow and be one of those bigger YouTubers because his content is so unique. So he has to rely on other YouTubers to say, check this guy out, I found him by mistake, he's really, really good. But the problem with that is that everybody says it, don't they? Everyone's like, share, subscribe, and it suddenly becomes kind of white noise because everybody's saying it. So you don't really know who's legitimate or who's just saying it because of whatever. And relying on the audience to grow it for you is, I understand the benefits of that, but it's so flawed. When you go to YouTube's homepage, you only see what you've ever searched before. You don't necessarily see anything new come up. It's just like, oh, you kind of like this stuff, so we'll show you that. But if it showed you stuff like James Lee, and I honestly say, go check it out. It might not be your stuff, but it's definitely unique, and there's no one else on YouTube doing that kind of stuff. If you look at that, you'll see exactly what I mean. And trust me, what would you ever search for to find that guy? It's just impossible.
Yeah. I can't remember who it was. Someone said to us, it might have been Lady Decade actually, who basically said, there are 2 things that you can do if you want people to find your videos. One is have a really good thumbnail, because people will click on something that looks interesting or something that looks appealing. It's that whole thing of food. The first bite is with the eye and this kind of thing. And the other thing was a video title that has searchable words in it. So this is something again that we, this is the part of us that cares about the YouTube search part of us, and that gratification of people finding us. We will sometimes, before we put a video out, discuss what we're going to call it, because if you just call it, I don't know, Retro Gaming Revival interviews Kim Justice, the Kim Justice part is searchable. The interview in Retro Gaming Revival isn't necessarily a particularly searchable thing, so it's trying to then come up with words, tell people what the thing is, whilst also being simultaneously something that someone would search for. And we found that by just spending that little bit of extra time on what we're going to call the video, people were finding it. We're still not getting millions of hits, but for a channel that's got 800 odd subscribers, we're getting good average hits of 300-400 which that's almost 50% of your sub base, which is fantastic.
You guys are doing great, because you can see it and what you're doing. But what I mean is that you kind of everybody's following the same rules, so therefore you're getting more and more of the same like for like content, and you have to follow those rules, otherwise you don't get found. So what I mean by it is that YouTube's flawed in that instance, because when you watch TV growing up, or everyone had their favorite cartoons. Everyone knows about Turtles and Ghostbusters and stuff like that, right? But when you had Wheel Warriors or those kind of obscure ones, which weren't necessarily promoted to end, but they were on the end of a TV show, you didn't choose to look for that. I mean, who would have looked up Street Sharks if it wasn't happened to be slotted in after what you were actually looking for, or something like that, And I think that's kind of what I mean, is when we were watching TV, it kind of threw stuff at us, and we didn't get to pick it. Now everyone's got just what they choose. You're having to guess what they might choose,
Yeah, it would be cool, wouldn't it, to have like a homepage that's got. I know they try and divvy it up now, don't they? So gaming's got its own section, and movies has got its own section, and that kind of thing. But it would be great if you were to click on that, and it almost have, almost like Apple Music, what they do with their thing. It's like, have you heard this artist? I know you've listened to this, but what about this person? I'm into a lot of death metal and black metal music and that kind of thing, and my friend is very much into that as well. I tend to go and seek it out physically. He's very Mr. Digital, but he tends to find so many new bands, and there'll be bands that have got one album out, because Apple Music will go, oh, you like that, you might like this. So it will actively throw new things at him, which are actually brand new, not necessarily just a new artist to him. These are new upcoming artists who just happen to get their music on Apple Music.
Yeah.
So it'd be great if if YouTube could do something like that. Oh, you've enjoyed this, well, how about this? Look at this person, they've got 100 subs, it's got an interesting video, you might like that.
I think bands is a great example. If you've got a live band show near you, and that's your only local pub or local show, you turn up, you don't necessarily have a choice of who performs on the stage. If you like them or not, and if you'll follow them. But that revolving door of content means that you might stumble across something you had no idea you would like, and that's
100%
kind of what I mean. I think we're kind of missing that on YouTube, and it'd be good if someone could crack how they would do that. Sorry, go on.
I think the algorithm's like a double-edged sword, because sometimes it's hard to find stuff, and sometimes I'll search something up. Say I'm looking for like a tutorial on how to do color correction or something, just something random. And then all I'll get for like the next month is like how to do this, how to do that, how to do this. And I'm like, I only needed to know this one thing, and I looked it up, and I now know how to do it. Why is YouTube just trying to throw all this stuff at me that I have literally no interest in? I think that it's. I wish there was a way of like opting out of stuff. Like, I don't want to see any more of this channel, because there's so many videos that you'll click on and you'll realize that it's just a really well made video that they're watching. It's like a reaction of them watching this video, and then all you get is their content over and over again. And it's just like there's just so much just pumped out crap on YouTube, and it's like you want to get to the real good stuff, but as soon as you accidentally click on one of those not so good videos, that's all YouTube wants to throw at you.
That's what I mean. Talking about the algorithm and how that works, and moving on to that next. My problem with the algorithm is not necessarily what it does for me, because I don't chase it. I find that defeats why I wanted to do YouTube in the first place. It kind of takes away the creativity, it takes away the fun, not really something I want to do to chase it. And I find people who do chase it tend to stray away from what I liked about their channel in the first place. My problem with the algorithm is the other way around. I like wrestling, I like video games, and my suggestions are flooded with that. But I also like anime, and I like comic books. And I don't know what to search in YouTube to find those things. So all I've followed in those areas is like Watch Mojo or What Culture, and I just don't think they satisfy what I'm looking for. But because I have no idea what to do to search those things, or if I look up comic book, I'll get loads of stuff that like, oh, like you like video games, wrestling, and comic books, right? Let's have some sort of mixture of all of those things, and that's kind of what you want, right? No, I don't. It's kind of weird. So what's everyone else's like problems or issues with the algorithm, if you have any?
Personally, or from us as a channel, or both?
Personally, if you're looking for stuff, or from how does that affect your channel? Have you had that sort of roller coaster ride where it's helped your channel, or is it more of a hindrance, or do you just don't care and it's got nothing to do with you?
I don't know if it's helped or hindered us really. I think the only thing we do now, which is we do try and actively name a video something that we think is a good title for the video, but is also something that is going to help it get found. Outside of that, I don't think we necessarily sort of think too much about the algorithm. I think I've said before that someone said to us, don't stream and make videos on YouTube because it will just confuse the algorithm. It won't know what to do. Yet, we've had streams that have hit a couple of thousand views, and we've had just normal edited videos make 5,000 views. Yeah. So I don't necessarily think that's particularly true. I think a lot of it can be lucky.
I was going to say that I think we've had some different advice on that as well. So having 3 types of videos for your channel. You've got your shorts, you've got your podcasts, and then you've got your dedicated videos. So you've got your short videos, builds up your view count. Your podcast format, which is what we do, builds up your watch minutes and your time, and then your dedicated videos is like your shorter videos where you're diving deep into one subject, and that's kind of the stuff we're branching into a bit more now. So I actually think having those 3 different types of style video works for a channel.
Yeah, I think where no one really knows, maybe someone does, and if someone does, maybe they can tell me more about it. But everybody talks about the algorithm like they understand what it's doing.
No one does.
I don't exactly. I don't.
But it changes as well, though, doesn't it? Like we might understand it one day, and then they change what it does. So I think it's always evolving, isn't it, to try and do different things.
I think this is why I say that
isn't it?
You kind of stay with what you like, because that's the only thing that will be consistent. You trying to constantly change anything else and change who you are to meet this ever-moving, ever-changing, mysterious figure called the algorithm, you're going to lose your personality, your brand, and everything else. Whereas if you know what you want to make, it might not be popular in the moment. And it's easy for me to say because I'm a really, really tiny channel. But I'm happy with the content I've got, and I'm having a good time. And I think that's ultimately what I enjoy the most.
To go full circle back to what we said before about like caring about subs and views and things like that, it's the difference between caring if you get views and having that satisfaction of gaining more subs, but it's not chasing them. It's you're doing it because you enjoy it and you're making content for fun. And if you happen to then get a following on the back of it, then great, but you're enjoying the journey. It's not about we've got to keep chasing that sub count, we've got to keep chasing the views. It's make the content that we like, that we enjoy doing, and you're then making organic content that people actually connect with.
If we were chasing the sub count, we would be putting out a hell of a lot more content. There's 5 of us, and we could churn out 7 videos a week, easy, between us.
Sure. Also, I don't think we'd be doing retro gaming as a subject matter, would we? It's really saturated.
There's
loads of people making videos of retro games, aren't there? So,
well, let's talk about that market share on YouTube. I think that's probably a big topic that I don't think many people talk about. Maybe they don't understand what it is, but there is a finite amount of people who are on YouTube as a platform. So there's only so much of the pie people can actually have. Do you think being a gaming, like you say, you say it's oversaturated? Do you think the bubble's burst and there's no more room because everyone's found the bigger YouTubers and that's who it is? Or do you think that's just what someone says because they're not having a good time with it at the moment?
I think people just make whatever they want to make, really, don't they? It's just, again, it's why you're doing it, people doing it fun. And for us, it kind of helps because we like interviewing other YouTubers that have retro gaming channels. So the fact that there's a lot of them out there means we're still going to discover new channels and people we might want to have on. And there's plenty of people to talk to. So because our channel, it's... Go on, Ryan.
I was just going to say, I think our channel is just so different. Bill, what you mentioned at the start of how we have it set out on screen, I've never come across another channel who has done that before.
Totally.
The only channel I would compare us with is it the eight. It's the American guys, and there's like 5 or 6 of them.
Oh, level 857.
Yeah, that's probably the nearest to us that I can think of, but they're all on screen at the same time.
There's plenty
So,
of
yeah.
big groups of people that kind of do stuff, aren't they?
Yeah.
The one Normal Boots was the one I tend to watch, or there was what used to be Game Attack and Screw Attack. They used to tend to do that. But what's unique about you guys is I don't know how close you all live to each other, and that's not really important. But the way you've set up each of your interviews with, like you say, the guest in the middle and you round the outside, it's just very appealing from a screenshot point of view, from a logo point of view, and really I don't know if it was done by design, but even your logo kind of echoes that, because you've got each of your faces in that circle. So it's your brand. This is why I asked you about your brand, because there is a brand there, whether you wanted it to be a brand or not. You've kind of subconsciously created it if you weren't by design.
I think in terms of the brand, there was definitely some thought that went into it. I mean, I'm not great with Photoshop. I barely know how to use it. Tim does all our thumbnails because he's very good with that, and he can knock it out of the park really quickly now. You're like, oh, I need a thumbnail that represents this. He poshes it, and you're like, perfect, thank you. In terms of things like our logo, and various branding around that, the actual 8-bit character faces were done by one of Tim's friends. Is that right? It was one of your friends, Tim, who was good with that, and he just did it for us as a solid, which is amazing. And then our actual Retro Gaming Revival logo, the one that looks like the SCART cable and some of the various other elements that have been done like that, were done by my friend Ted over at Moonlighter Art, because he is a graphic designer. That's his job. He just happens to be one of my best friends. And I just sort of said, we're looking to rebrand ourselves now that we've got this new YouTube channel, the new Facebook group. We want something that's, retro inspired, 16-bit era, SCART cables, that kind of thing. And as soon as we said the word that, he's like, cool, I've got some ideas. He just went away and did us all of these logos. There was a plethora of work that he'd done. And I was just like, so what do you want for this? He's like, just whatever. I was like, well, what about if I buy you a PlayStation? Like just an original old PlayStation, which I got off of Facebook Marketplace with some games. And he was like, yeah, all right.
Bargain.
Yeah, exactly. And he was happy, but he just likes creating stuff. So there's definitely some thought that went into it for sure.
Because those logos are great as like a brand, I think, and we've had them put on T-shirts and stuff. But with YouTube, we were thinking about that thumbnail. If someone was to look at that Retro Gaming Revival, okay, it's about games, but they wouldn't necessarily know. It's a group of people involved in that channel, and that's why we decided, well, Tim kindly asked his friend to make the pixel art pictures of us and put them within the circle and then RGR in the middle, because we thought that would show people who haven't seen our channel before. They look at that, it's 5 people on this channel, I'll click on that, and it's a little bit more obvious what we're about, I think.
Yeah, totally. So you mentioned there as well, sort of like the content and getting people's attention. Analytics. Out of you, is there someone who sort of looks at the figures the most, who goes through all that and says, look guys, this we need to do more of these because these are sort of working out for us? Or are you just don't look at any of that and things like that? Does it sort of take you down this road where this really toxic road where it takes you down the wrong direction? Or if you said, no, that's not us, we're not going to worry about it? Who's the analytics guy?
I think a lot of YouTubers use TubeBuddy, which we don't use. I know there's a free element to it, but a lot of people really like it because they think it can help them grow their channel. And if that's what you're looking to do, then fantastic. That's probably going to be the thing for you. We've got the YouTube Studio app that we all use, which we can just use to see, like Ryan's video last night, for instance, that went live. Before I watched it live. Enjoyed it, and then before I went to bed, just went on YouTube Studio just to see how it was performing. I don't think we necessarily use the analytics as a chase mechanism to forge how we're going to make new videos. We just sort of use it, I guess, as like a tracker. Just I've put my video live today. All right, cool. Well, I'm at work, and every now and then I'll just check it, see how it's doing. But it's not necessarily something that we would use to, forge new content. Specifically, if something got like 1 million views, then there's a high chance we'd probably figure out a way to make another video like it.
So you're using it for that dopamine hit. Someone's liked it. Oh, cool. We got 100,000 views on one particular video. That would be nice. Yeah, great. But it's
Another
not
100,000 views. That'd be great.
But no one's sort of going in and sort of saying, oh, they kind of tuned off after 2 minutes 30. That means there's something in there we need to tweak. No one's doing that.
I think possibly
I
the
don't think I've
only
ever
thing
looked
that's
at that
happened with
closely.
that is, sorry, Tim, go on.
I was just going to. I don't think I've ever looked at it that closely. I kind of just go by what you guys are saying in the chat, and I track things like the sub count and the view count, but I've never looked at the watch minutes or what's been viewed that week and a lot of the the granular data that's available.
We are a very male dominated audience. If you look at our YouTube studio, that's I think it's like 99.9% of your viewers are men, and then 99.9% are between the age bracket of like 30 to 45, which is a key demo in wrestling terms. So it's not a bad audience to have. So that's quite interesting to see that we are a very male dominated audience that we appeal to.
I think at the end of a month, I do like to just sort of summarize the month and just sort of have a look and just not that I compare it to the month before. Sometimes, if we've had a really good month, we've had a couple of videos that have done really well, then frequently, I might chuck it in the group chat and be like, oh, we've had X number of channel views this month, we've had X number of sub increases, that's awesome. But I'll do that each month anyway. If we get 5 subs one month and 50 subs the next month, it's still I still just do it because it's nice to see channel growth. I wouldn't say it's necessarily something that feeds into making new content at all. It's more just a good way to track things. If you were to release an album or release something, you'd want to know how many people have bought it and how many people are interacting with it. So from that perspective, we use analytics, but not to forge stuff.
I think what I've learned is that there's this weird middle ground in terms of getting good views, for at least for my channel, between like something that's niche and something that's popular. And there's a little middle ground where you've got something that's not quite as big, but it's got quite a dedicated fan base, which is where I sort of get the most of my views. So, like, for example, if I did a video on Mario 64, not saying I won't do, because I eventually plan on covering as many games as I can, but if I released a video on Mario 64, for example, I guarantee it would just absolutely tank, because everyone has done a video on Mario 64. And when I've done a video on, say, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, it's absolutely tanked, because it's a game that not that many people are familiar with, even though more people should definitely be. But when you've got something that's got quite a dedicated fan base, like Metroid, Metal Gear Solid, surprisingly, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, massive, absolutely huge community that are still thriving. That's when I really sort of get the views. Donkey Kong, another one. Turns out the Donkey Kong fan base are absolutely insane, and they're all just chomping at the bit for a new game. So anything you sort of put out, they'll go nuts for.
It's an interesting thing with retro gaming, because obviously we're talking about games that have been out for years. They're not recent releases, but then when you get remasters, and you've got things like the Evercade, because we've got the Evercade Everchat podcast hosted on the channel as well. It's recently released retro content. So you get searchable stuff which is being talked about now, even though the games we're discussing we all played back in the 90s and things like that. Kind of, you are still having that current retro content.
Well, I think video games is such a strange subject about that anyway, because there's a lot of games that just don't age. And even if some of the things in a game sort of, they wouldn't do that these days. There's a lot of people we've come across who are very young, who their first game they ever played was like Halo 3, or it's getting worse now. I mean, some people are saying Last of Us is the first thing they've played and stuff like that. And I'm just thinking that was last year, wasn't it?
I feel old if someone said they started on the PS1.
But they do hear people like ourselves talking online, and they go, "Oh, that sounds interesting. I'll check that out." And I think it's what we consider to be retro. Is that change in graphics, and I think you spoke about it in your Games Master episode as well, that there was such a big difference between 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, 64-bit, and then straight on, that you can visually see the difference. We don't get that so much anymore, and everything's very you know, everything's very streamlined. Everyone's worked out all the tricks, and things are very similar. Those games they go back to try out your Donkey Kongs, your Pac-Mans, all that retro stuff. It's different, and it stood the test of time, and it's something that the market doesn't necessarily provide now. And we get a lot of people in our community that just sort of say, these games are better. This is better than what I'm playing at the moment. Why are not more people talking about that? And I think that's a question for you guys. Do you find yourself responsible, or do you have that sense of duty to sort of talk about this stuff and sort of get the message out to these people and sort of say, have you played this? Or do you keep that in mind when you're creating content?
Necessarily. I guess it's cool if you talk to someone who's never played a game that you're really passionate about. The collaboration video that we've done recently, that I guess in the back of my head was like, well, the topic that people love to talk about in person, and I'm sure there are videos of that topic on YouTube, but I wanted to add my 5 pence to that conversation about underappreciated games that maybe people didn't know. And from it, there are 3 games that I have never played, and these are people that I've talked to on a semi-regular basis about video games, but because I've never asked them, oh, what's a game that you like that no one else did? It's just, so even from making that video with people, I've come away with 3 games that I'm going to actively go and seek out and play at some point this year, because it's like, well, I'm always after new games. I don't know whether we go out and set out to do it as a active thing. I don't know. It might happen naturally.
Well, I'll give you an
example.
example.
One thing I found good is that as much as I like recommending games to people, it's like you said, Ollie, like it's other people recommending games to us, and where we've done like what you've got 2 things we get a lot of different games being talked about is when we ask people what their favourite game is. There's loads of different answers to that. And then also like when we do the Waller's remasters, like what 3 games would you have remastered? And the amount of times people have said a game for either of those questions I've not heard of or not played, I've immediately then Googled it and looked at videos. And some of them's like, that looks really good, I'm going to go away and try and find that and give it a go and play it. And I've played a whole bunch of games that I otherwise wouldn't have done. So I find it's the other way around. I'm not looking to recommend games to other people. I'm looking to get people to recommend games to me.
Yeah, and that Waller's remasters thing has become cool. That was something that Daubs set up when we actually had Rick Waller on.
Right.
Daubs just kind of ran with it as I do this every stream now. Whenever we have someone on, we're going to do this thing, and it's called Waller's remasters, and it's become this feature of anyone that we have on the channel, thanks to Daubs and coming up with that as a format. And it's like Tim's just said that. So yeah, maybe we have done it inadvertently, but without necessarily thinking, oh, we're going to try and champion old games that people might not have heard of. We've just kind of done it
subconsciously. You're kind of doing it in the background. I'll give you an example.
It was Rick's idea.
I was going to say, can I just stop
absolutely
there?
Go in.
Is that Daubs stealing an idea?
No.
Because the big boy, he's
that was my idea.
Games Master stealing his Big Boy Barry idea, and now he's claiming Waller's remaster.
I didn't claim it. Ollie said it was me. I said it was not me.
The legendary Rick Waller.
It was.
So I just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah. I've never said I created it. I've always said it's Rick. I don't know why Ollie said it was me, but no, it was
just
Rick
that assumption I've made then, clearly.
It was,
probably because he keeps telling everyone it was him.
No, definitely.
Brainwashed.
No, it was. It was Mr. Waller himself that come up with that. Great idea, and yeah, we've stuck with it because it's such a brilliant idea.
Hey you! Yeah, you! Do you like video games? Do you like kick-ass characters? Do you like action and adventure? Then you should go to RagingDestiny.com and get your copy of Raging Destiny, an action-packed fantasy fiction today. A novel written by a gamer for a gamer. That's right, written by me, Bill, from Pop Culture Pause Screen. It's a non-stop thrill ride with in-depth characters that very well could be your next favourite franchise. There isn't any slowing down in this book, oh no! Every chapter is designed to keep you reading and wanting to know what happens next. You can find out more at RagingDestiny.com, and I thank you in advance for your support. Now, back to the show.
Yeah, I'll give you an example of. I mean, it's easy for people to say, "Oh, this is my favourite game. Oh, this game's rubbish." And I think that, especially YouTube in its early years and carrying on, that's very, very prominent. But one that comes to mind to me, which I think I needed something a little bit deeper with the amount of games that I play, is how to play a game. So it started with Mike, but I've never been a fan of the Mega Man games. They always left a really bad first impression for me, and I always struggled to enjoy those games, especially Mega Man X. And the reason is I try to play those like a Sonic or Mario game, where I just sort of go, okay, level by level, complete all the levels, get to the end, see the credits. But if anyone, if you know how to play Mega Man X, that's not how you play that game. You go into the levels, you find your power-ups, you make yourself stronger, and then suddenly the game, all these different power-ups and how you use those guns make that game more accessible and a lot more fun. It sounds daft, and as a game fan, I know people out there are going to go, oh, come on, really? You call yourself a gamer and you didn't know this? You can't know everything about video games, but I needed someone in the YouTube channel to actually tell me, have you tried playing this game this way? And when I heard that, I was like, oh, interesting. Okay, let me try that. And when I did, that just exploded. It just set a light bulb off in my mind about Mega Man, and then suddenly I applied that same strategy to the whole series, and then I loved it. And I was like, I'd spent years not playing this game because either someone gave me a bad impression, or someone told me wrong, or I didn't have the instruction manual to tell me this particular strategy and all of that kind of stuff. That's kind of what I mean, is kind of sometimes you when people say I don't like this game because, I find myself going, yeah, but have you thought about this? Because I feel there's a responsibility sometimes to do that.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple of things there. One of them is I guess, another negative aspect of YouTube that you mentioned there, and it's just triggered something in my brain, which I'll come back to.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, the other thing is, learning that different games sometimes do require a different gameplay style. One of the things that I always hear people talk about from software games, Elden Ring, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, is everyone goes, they're too hard. But, well, challenging, yes, I will give you that, but they're not unbeatable. The difference is you're just probably playing it like a Devil May Cry game, and you cannot play a From Software game like Devil May Cry. You have to play it tactically. You have to learn the way the boss moves. You have to learn how to block, how to parry, how to dodge. As soon as you figure out that, a boss fight isn't going to take you 2 minutes, it might take you 20 minutes because you need to back up, block for, 2 or 3 minutes sometimes solidly before you actually make your move. The gameplay changes. I always used to rag on From Software games because I just playing them wrong. So very much like you said with Mega Man. But then as soon as someone went, no, you're playing it wrong, just take your time, enjoy the fight. Don't just try and get it over to get to the next boss.
Yeah.
And as soon as that was taken and the pace was dropped, it just became such a pleasurable experience. Yes, I rage and get very angry because it's so challenging sometimes when you get to the latter boss, but like you say, the enjoyment of learning to play a game can be immense. Yeah, really, really, really good.
Yeah.
I
don't think you sort of get. I don't think you even get that back in the day with things like maybe even like Games Master or video game magazines or any of that kind of stuff. It's that experience of when someone has sat next to you and almost shown you how to play the game or what you're doing wrong, and then that light bulb moment. I think YouTube is especially very good at that if you manage to find the right content creator.
I think back in those days as well, where you had such limited access to games, if you had a game, you would persevere with it and learn it more.
Yes, absolutely.
You don't have like the libraries of games we have now. If you've got Game Pass or the PlayStation Plus and all those sorts of ones, if there's a game you try and you're not getting into it, you just try the next one. Whereas like if you got a game that was really hard, you knew that you were not going to get another game until Christmas, you would persevere with that game and try and get good at it so you could enjoy the game.
Dr. Mario, because it was a Mario game, I bought that, and it was the only game I had all year. James Pond I got, and I was just like, because it had RoboCop fish on the front and he had a gun. I thought, that's cool. Doesn't use the gun at all. All of that kind of stuff, absolutely.
Yeah, just before
funny story actually about
just before it leaves my brain again, Tim. I've got to get it out there. That other negative aspect of YouTube that you just mentioned, it just oh my god, it triggered something in my brain. Then not because there's many negative aspects of YouTube, but when you said when people use phrases like "call yourself a gamer" or that can be a frequent thing that people will say on YouTube. It's this gatekeeping element, and video games is an absolute cesspit for it. There are people that have these constructed ideas of what being a gamer is. If you don't do this and you don't do this and you don't do this, you're not a gamer. And it's just this really awful mentality to have. You're a disgrace if you do this. It's like, oh, come on.
I find
that's the other thing that's recently that's come
I find
up.
that a fascinating topic though, because communication is hard, and we're almost sort of thrust into this world now where communication is a must. And I think gaming is a very antisocial kind of thing for the most part. So what you're kind of asking, you're asking an antisocial person, and that sounds like a harsh phrase, but I don't mean it to be. But, you know, someone who likes to sit and play games and find what they like, and they had a really good enjoyment with that, and they said this is the best game in the world, and you can't play everything, but in their bubble, that's the best thing. And then when you see someone doing something opposite, or saying that's not really that, or saying the contrary to what their experience had, they suddenly react by saying that no, you're wrong. You're shitting all over something I really enjoy. And then because communication is hard, you get this disconnect. So I think YouTube and the internet in general is divided into all these kind of people. I think there's a lot of people that don't try to be malicious. They've just failed to make that connection, or they don't know how to necessarily communicate in a way that actually delivers the message that they want. They just think, oh, this guy's an idiot, and how dare they be on the internet if they can't speak properly, you know, because they don't know how to portray that. They don't understand the greater aspect of it. I love a fascinating topic.
Me. I love it. Like, I watched a video on Mario Odyssey, and because Mario Odyssey is like, oh, it's 10 out of 10 game, one of the best games ever made, whatever. And I watched one video where a guy didn't like it at all. And this was like an hour-long video. It was quite a journey. But by the end of that video, I was like, you know what? This guy's kind of right. Like, Mario Odyssey is quite repetitive. It is very copy and paste. You know, there is a lot more memorable collectibles in like Mario 64 and Mario Galaxy and stuff. And I think what people it's more of a fandom thing in general, but like
to be honest though, Mike, after an hour I think anybody could wear you down. you can't critique or have a problem with anything without, it's almost like there's this problem with toxic positivity where you 100%. Can't say anything negative about anything without being called a hater or a bigot or this or that. And it's like, can I just, it's like I will talk about something, list off like 5 things that I didn't like, and then say, that was a great game, and then all they'll think about is the things that I said I didn't like, whereas I don't think every game is like The Last of Us. It's not, can we stop pretending like it invented storytelling? It didn't, like, it's just
story.
It's a great story, but it's like, it just wears me down. Like, I know Bill's not really a big Breath of the Wild fan, and I know that sort of drums up people, but it's just like, I love a good controversy. If someone's willing to go toe to toe with you, it's great having a conversation. Like, you know, just off air we talk about Final Fantasy 7. Yeah. Like, I think the only way we're going to grow as a community and grow as people is if we have you know, in a nice civil way, do sort of take those opposite opinions and sort of
communication. Sorry, Ryan.
I was going to say one thing, kind of touching on what you were just saying there, Mike. But what I find frustrating with YouTube is you're not allowed to be negative about a product, and if you are, you know, like I done a reaction video to an Evercade trailer yesterday. Yeah. And I really dislike shoot 'em ups. I was watching this 14 game trailer, and there was 5-6 shoot 'em ups on that video. Yeah. So of course my reaction will be, but I don't like shoot 'em ups. Oh my god, there's another shoot 'em up. Oh no, I can't believe there's another shoot. How many have we got now? You know, is this cart worth $17.99? Not really, not to me. When you can get a C64 Mini for $29.99. So that was like my comments. But on the flip side, you'll get people on YouTube. They'll be like, oh, this cartridge is brilliant, every single game. And I sit there and I think, you're not being honest. There is no way you are looking at that cartridge. I'm just using this as an example, so I'm not talking about anyone in particular. But, you know, they cannot be sat there looking at the same 14 games as I am and thinking, wow, they are the best games I've ever seen in my life. I cannot wait to play them. I cannot wait to give Blaze or Evercade $17.99 of my money. It's just not believable, and that's one thing that frustrates me with YouTube.
Yeah, I think YouTube has this. Sorry, Ollie, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say controversy's good because I personally find I grow as a person through controversial things. People disagreeing with me, as long as it always kept as a conversation and it is always kept as respect your opinion, even if I don't agree with it. I will have a conversation with everybody about anything. If that is the end game, at the end of this discussion, you just can still shake hands and be like, that is the end game for me. I've got loads of friends who disagree with me on many things, but they're still my mates. But it's when we start building that wall, to quote Trump, and kind of push people out of something because of the way people think it should be, that's when we start failing as a community. And certainly with retro gaming and just gaming in general, people that put these barriers up, these confines of what is a gamer. You're not a gamer unless you have a collection. You're not a gamer unless you play a game on a PC or a console or whatever it is. People that, and again, like you said earlier about communication, Bill. People that just use these phrases maybe flippantly, not thinking that it means anything, but using phrases. You'll only do this if you're a real gamer. It's like that's such a bullshit kind of comment. Like, what's a real gamer? If you game on your mobile phone every day, you're a gamer.
Yeah.
If you game for 50,
having
50
a hobby is not
minutes a day,
meant to be difficult, is it? You're supposed to enjoy it. Like,
exactly.
who are they to say, oh, you're not allowed to enjoy this thing you like? You're not allowed to enjoy it unless you're enjoying it the way that I am. You're not having fun properly. Like, that's just really, it's a stupid concept.
That's the weird thing about it, because on the surface, the way you've said that, totally, it just sounds like completely unreasonable. But I find it fascinating, and and I guess the best way I can describe it is the way I see YouTube sort of go with some of its what's in style and what's not kind of attitude, and this whole you need to label it. There's people that need to put things in boxes and in certain orders for them to be able to digest it. That's how they communicate. But if, I don't know, Balan Wonderworld or Wonderland or whatever it was called, I swear it was called Wonderworld at one point, or whatever, universally, that game is terrible, and everybody admits that. Everybody says that game's terrible. So it's one of those exceptions where you can literally go, yeah, this is rubbish, and everybody jumps on and has fun and goes, this game's rubbish, and we can all say that, and great. But I guarantee at some point, people are going to get so fed up of everyone calling it rubbish that it's going to come right round, and someone's going to go, do you know what, I kind of like it. And then you find that it's kind of into a cult classic, and everyone else starts liking it. And it's sort of watching people evolve and what they think is good or bad. It's just that immediate reaction is the one where people say, this is rubbish because, and everyone's like, yeah.
Sonic cycle, isn't it? It's the Sonic cycle. It starts off crap, and then like 20 years later, when the kids have grown up, they go, oh, Sonic 06, misunderstood masterpiece,
But wrestling's the same.
Best Sonic game in series, that sort of thing.
Wrestling's the same. Everybody's the best era in the ever is the Attitude Era, and then because all those people have grown up, and you get another people who grew up with it. I was watching wrestling from the 80s. I stuck with it through the 90s, and then the Attitude Era. As I said, I told you wrestling was good. I loved the new generation stuff because I thought the in-ring stuff was really good. But when you get later on, now you're starting saying, oh, Ruthless Aggression was a lot better than the Attitude Era because those people are growing up and now it's becoming a bit more acceptable, and that's that. I find that fascinating. Not bad, not good, but fascinating, especially of how YouTube treats it.
The Federation years, early 90s was the best era.
Yeah. I really liked the Asylum days of Jim Cornette and TNA. When Jim Cornette was running TNA on camera, I thought that was some really.
Nobody likes Jim Cornette. Take that.
No, but when he was the on-screen manager of TNA, when they had the 6 sides of the ring, that was really good. And then the current stuff in AEW, like I think my favorite time in wrestling is always like what's happening right now. Like watching the most recent pay-per-view is always that little bit more exciting than watching something from like 20 years ago. I always like to watch the current.
Just a final point on wrestling. Sorry to take this over about wrestling, but
that's my fault. My bad.
Watch Royal Rumble 1992 and give me a better event than that.
Such a good pick. Yeah.
It's so good. Everything about that event is amazing.
Yeah,
and I don't think it will ever be beaten.
There's something I do want to chime in on the gatekeeping topic we mentioned, but before I do, you were talking about games and not playing them properly and being introduced to it. Yeah. And you mentioned James Pond Robocod. I was just going to mention, I had a friend once who had James Pond 2 Robocod and couldn't play it. And I went round there, and he didn't realise that if you're in the air and you crouch, you can then destroy enemies by landing on them.
Yeah.
You have to press down in the air to do it, and he did not know that. And he's like, oh, we can play this game, but it's a bit rubbish though, because you can't really get past the first level, because you can't kill the enemies. Like every time he went up on like the stretchy thing, an enemy would hit him, and he'd drop down again.
Yeah.
So he could not progress in the game. And I immediately jumped and just instinctively pressed down, I don't know why, and killed an enemy. And he's like, what? You just opened up the rest of this game for me. So yeah, it just reminded me of that when you said it. Talking about gatekeeping, the other thing we talked about quite a bit with Lady Decade, but she's saying she gets quite a lot of people commenting about how she's not a gamer. I think because she's known, it's known that she's married to Top Hat Gaming Man, and Top Hat Gaming Man had a successful YouTube channel, and she made her own. Like, oh, you're only doing YouTube videos of games because your husband does them. So, well, why would you make content on something you're not interested in? And like, to talk to her, she did a lot of the scripts, so she did a lot of the content she was making for Top Hat's channel, and then she started doing her own. And we had a really good chat with her about her introduction to gaming. She talks about like her nan was a gamer, and she would play games with her nan on this, and she was passionate about talking about games. I just think it's a real shame that you've got someone who's really passionate about games, puts a lot of effort into making documentary videos about really interesting stuff about the background and history of like never released consoles and never released games, and it takes a long time to research those topics and create an engaging video. And then you've got people saying, oh well, you don't actually play games, you have to play games on Twitch to be a gamer. So
no, again,
it's that gatekeeping thing. It's like, oh, you've got to meet this criteria before I can accept you as a gamer. It's like someone like wants to make gaming videos on YouTube.
I think retro's really bad for gatekeeping in general. Like, as someone who's younger, who is currently running a flat with like hours reduced at work because times are tough, and I get gatekeeped saying, you haven't got a CRT, you haven't been buying everything on original hardware, you haven't been, spending £200 on a copy of a game that you'll probably play through once and that's it. And it's like, well, do you want me to enjoy retro games or not? Because there's two options. Either I get, I don't know, like the Mega Man collection off Steam, or I sin and emulate, or I just don't play them. Because those are my only options. Because I've got, like everyone, I've got fuel to put in the car, I've got, food to eat, all that sort of stuff. So it's like, well, why are you telling me that I can't play a Game Boy game because I'm not contorting my body so that the light is hitting it just at the right, angle so that I can play it, when all I want to do is play a little bit of Donkey Kong, Again,
I think it's a fascinating topic, because Marvel Comics is exactly the same, where obviously now everyone loves Marvel, but there was a time when no one cared. Superheroes were dead and they almost went away. And the people who stuck with them, the people who liked them at that time, and like me with wrestling in 93 to 96 time period, Bret Hart kind of type stuff, I was the only one who liked it. And then suddenly it becomes cool. So you're almost defending yourself because you're constantly saying, well, this is a cool thing that I always said was cool, but you're not experiencing it how I did. So therefore you're doing it wrong, even though it's like someone's wearing a t-shirt backwards in their mind, and they feel they have to say, no, you enjoy it more if you do it this way. And I think because they're so used to defending themselves, because they used to be the outcast, and now suddenly it's turned around, it's the popular thing. And let's not forget, video games is a very young media compared to everything else, like movies and music and things like that. And I think people are still getting used to how to communicate. I am in no way giving those people excuses and saying they're doing the right thing. All I'm saying is that communication is hard, and I think some people just don't. There's something in their mind that just doesn't tweak to make them say, yeah, this is, you're doing this the right way. And I think that really, no one else can stop them except for themselves, and they definitely need to be called out on it. But I think I find it fascinating how YouTube sort of brings that to the forefront for everybody else to have that debate.
Definitely amplified it. Like with comic books is a great example, because that's a small selection of my comic books all behind me. Yeah. No one can see that I'm pointing to comic books behind me, but I am. Comic books was something that I got into at a really young age. It helped me learn to read properly, because my attention span for books was 0. So comic books were short, and I genuinely started to learn to read properly from about the age of 7 because of comic books. So my parents would take me out, my weekly money was comic books. and the people that ran those comic book shops did nothing but support that enthusiasm in me. Oh, what did you read last time? What superheroes do you like? Or what other things do you like? Oh, come look at this. Come look at this. That for me as a kid was so impressionable that as a almost 38-year-old man, I am still buying the new issues of the comic books I loved. And yet there are adults who actively, because of the Marvel movies, like you say, people are now coming into this hobby more now. And they're like, oh, you weren't there from the beginning. It's like, yeah, of course they weren't. They weren't fucking alive to start with.
Exactly.
Let's just ease up a bit. Just because somebody watched Guardians of the Galaxy and then decides they want to read comic books, you should be actively helping that person. These are the great ones to read. Go back and read this. Have you read this one? These are really great. Actively support these people who are coming into this hobby rather than become the thing that you hated because you got picked on as a kid. Like, you should almost be able to empathize with somebody new to a hobby, being that you were new to it at one point as well. Be the hero, don't be the villain.
But I think people need to move on. It's like, imagine being the one. I'm going back to wrestling again, just because it's an easy way to. Because wrestling changes. Sorry, Mike. I know you have no interest in wrestling whatsoever, but just because it's an easy one to do. Being a fan of Diesel, Razor Ramon, Shawn Michaels, and Bret Hart, and then suddenly things turn into puppies and Stone Cold Stunners and beer and everything else. Now, I had a choice. Either everyone's suddenly liking the thing I enjoyed, and I had to go with it to sort of stay with it, or I could have switched off and found something else to do. And there's so much like that. Zelda nowadays, getting back on the topic of video games, I have been a massive Zelda fan for years. Zelda isn't the game for me anymore. If Breath of the Wild is any indication of where they're going, that game's not for me anymore. But it's not for me to go and say, oh, you've messed up Zelda, you've gone and spoken to Nintendo and now they're doing what you told me to, you've influenced them to do, you've ruined my game. No, it's just going for a different phase, a different era if you're a wrestling fan. And now, that's not my Zelda games. I've still got the games I used to play. I can still go back and play those Zelda games. They haven't been taken away from me. So therefore, that's fine. I can go play something else and enjoy it. And if there's loads of people that do enjoy those Zelda games and what they are now, fine. That ship has sailed.
Well, I think there's a thing. Movies and computer games suffer the same problem, where in terms of investing money and making something new, it's much less risk to use existing IP. So Breath of the Wild could have been an original game that's nothing to do with Zelda, but people know the Zelda brand, so you make a Zelda game. And the same with movies, like you'll get a lot of franchises that just keep bringing out movies, and there's a lot of films that's like, actually, did it have to be that brand and that franchise? Could it have been an original movie? Yeah. So I feel that way about something like the Joker film. A really good film, but I didn't really feel like, was that a comic book movie? Did it have to be the Joker? That story with that character was great, but I don't feel like it needed to be about the Joker. But you stick the name Joker on it, and more people are going to go see it because they know what to expect. Yeah. It's the same with games. Like the amount of I played, what was it? Assassin's Creed Black Flag. It's a really, really one of my favourite Assassin's Creed games. I felt playing that. It's like, did this need to be Assassin's Creed? It could have just been a pirate game with a different title. It didn't have to have the Assassin's Creed branding on it. And that's why, like, you get something like Sonic the Hedgehog or Zelda, they completely change the format, bring you a completely different game, and you think that didn't actually need to be that character or that branding, but people know what it is. And I felt that way about the Sonic Frontiers trailer. It's like, this looks all right, but is it Sonic? It's just they've whacked the Sonic IP over the top of the game that they're making.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. I suppose we need to bring this back to YouTube, don't we? And we've gone off on a tangent there. So as it's the topic at hand, let's bring it back. One of the other things that I particularly talk about, and I'll bring it in this way. We talked about earlier about not having, it sounds more grandiose than it is, but having a responsibility to sort of share what you like and advertise what you like and say, have you watched this? This is really cool, you should try it, and that kind of thing. One of the biggest issues I sometimes come across, especially with things like anime and movies, comic book license, that kind of stuff, is copyright strikes. Now, I am trying to tell someone this is really good, and somebody will, and the YouTube will come up and say, no, you can't do that because you got a bit of music in there. It's like, I'm talking over the top of it. No one's listening to this, but I'm trying to tell somebody this is a good thing to watch. Or I take a bit of a trailer of something. just to sort of set the scene. It might be a little tiny window in the top right hand corner of my little thing and saying, this is really good, this movie's really good, you should watch it, or this anime is something that people have forgotten, Guyver, Ninja Scroll, whatever it is. But I'm trying. WWE is the worst. If you've ever tried to do a WWE episode and sort of say, watch this event on the WWE network, that video I did on that got absolutely torn to shreds, and now if you watch it, barely makes sense because I had to keep cutting it out, and Vince said, no, you can't have that. Vince, I'm trying to sell the WWE network, buddy, let me do it. I'm not taking money from you, I'm trying to give it to you. Do you guys come across the same sort of problems with copyright strikes? Do you think it's not a problem? Do you feel I'm wrong and that is just the way it is? And you should never use any of this kind of stuff, and you have to find ways around it. Or do you think they've gone a bit too ham and need to dial it back a bit?
I think luckily we've not necessarily had any copyright strikes, I think, on any of our stuff as yet. I think we might have had one.
I think we've had a couple because of a theme tune I used, which I didn't realise. It was a Microsoft theme tune, so I didn't think that would be copyrighted. It was built into a photo or a video program, but I think that's the only thing. And also our ModCons video, where it might have been because we used that WWE trailer, Ollie.
I think it was, WWE, possibly.
Oh, they hate
UK22, yeah.
But
I suppose like nobody's actually sat watching it, is it? It's an algorithm that detects that you're using something. So you mentioned there, like if you could be promoting it in a positive way, but you could also be slamming it. So they don't know. No person's actually gone and watched it. It's flagged something and it's pulled it and said no, you can't use that.
I think if it's
out there.
a handful of things that I think should be up for grabs that you can use if you're actively talking over something. So if it is something that's like wrestling or a TV show or something like that, people are actively going to go out and find a huge amount of it. So, talking over 5 minutes of a 2-hour movie, for me, I think should be up for grabs. You should be allowed to do that. The only things that I would say, and this is purely probably just down to my background of other hobbies, the only thing that I would say is it should never be up for grabs is music, because music is short. Music can be as long as 2 minutes, or it can be as long as 10 minutes, but ultimately music is quite short, and most people's videos are short. So to have somebody's music playing in the background, unless it's license free, I'm totally on board with not using a band's piece of music. There's so many people out there that make license free music for that very purpose, and it's all very, very good. So I would highly recommend people do that. Go and just Google license free YouTube music. There's so much stuff out there. But where things in movies are 2 hours, TV shows, pay-per-views, they're so long. I think people should be given the free reign to talk over it, like you say, because you're advertising it. If you're going to talk about an album release or something, you probably are going to play a bit of that music, but you're reviewing it rather than using it to promote your topic, if that makes sense. If you're reviewing something, maybe that's the best way to view it. If you're reviewing it, you should be allowed to use it. If you're just having it on with music just in the background of a video that's got nothing to do with the music you're playing, then you should absolutely not be able to use it.
One thing that changed a few years back, something to do with the copyright rules that are out there for Simpsons. There was you could not put anything with the Simpsons on it online. It would just get taken down. If you had any images, or if you had like a clip from the Simpsons that you put in a video, it would immediately get found and removed. I don't know what happened, but something changed where they changed the laws or rules of what they had for using Simpsons imagery, and it just went. And now you get loads of Simpsons memes, and you get loads of like Simpsons pictures and images. But there's one point you have to think back. There was a time where you just did get any Simpsons memes on the internet at all, because they just get taken off straight away. And for some reason something changed, and all of a sudden you get loads of really good Simpsons memes and posts about it. But that was quite a nice thing I saw appear, because now actually people can just reuse these really old Simpsons images and talk about it.
Well, I think there comes a point that I think is, if anything, raised Simpsons and Family Guy and all that. I see all those all the time. I don't often watch those, but because of the memes, it actually makes me laugh, and now I'm in on the joke. But another one that flags up quite a lot is Warner Brothers stuff. Now, I was a big fan of Injustice. I play a lot of fighting games, and Injustice 2 I was all over. I was limited on what I would be talking about the game, sort of helping people play the game or telling them what I thought about it and that kind of stuff over the title menu. and the title menu music would get flagged with me talking over the top of it. And literally, if you've heard the title menu music, I'm not disregarding the guy who put the work in, but it's very atmospheric, and it's kind of, it's like the Batman music. It's not much of a tune to it that you would listen outside of the realms. You wouldn't necessarily listen to it in your car, is basically what I'm saying. But because it's Warner Brothers, they flag it instantly. And sometimes it's just like, guys, here I am trying to tell everybody about a game and teach people how to play this fighting game, and you're flagging me because I'm on the title screen music? What is going on? How? Yeah, you can play any Nintendo game. I mean, I know there was a bit in Nintendo where it was a bit kind of suspect, but Sega and stuff like that, where they go, yeah, go for it. You're advertising my product, go for it. There's such a disconnect, isn't there, with certain companies and how they see it.
Yeah, I think there would be a fine line with it. I think it's all down to what you're using it for. I think that would be it. How and what you're using it for.
I think to just sort of try and bring this all back around to a positive and kind of also bring it round to sort of what we're doing is, and also what you're doing actually, is YouTube is a prickly, challenging, tough place. And I think the worst thing about YouTube is the fact that everyone is convinced that they have to just muscle through on their own. And I think what we've learned from doing our interviews, and I'm sure what you've learned, is we're not out for each other. We're not attacking you because you're getting views that we're not getting or anything like that. The best way for anyone to thrive on this platform is to work together, is to help each other out, whether that's with shout outs, whether that's with collaborations, whether that's with just private messaging, sharing tips or tricks. We're all sort of trying to build this gaming community around retro games and bring positivity into the whole thing and trying to make this a nice, healthy place to go into. And we all want to have these content creators that we enjoy thrive because we want them to keep going. If these YouTubers get to the point where they're monetized, they get money, which means they can start working full time, which means they can start pumping out better and more and better quality videos. So I think, this mentality that everyone just sort of is out for themselves, out for each other, and everyone's trying to get on the front page of YouTube, I don't think that really helps anyone. So I think the best thing we can do going forward is helping each other out any way we can, because that's the best way that any of us can succeed, really.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. We've had a few people say to us before, that's the best thing you can do. Top Hat Gamer Man has said, if people want help, just ask. I'll help you out. Some of these people we have asked, actively, like, well, what would you do here? What would you suggest? How would you approach this? Then that is the best way, And if we're not exactly, we're not a huge channel, but if anybody to ask us any questions about it, how did you do this, or how would you approach this? We'd more than happily do it, because we've done the same thing. We've asked people who have had better experience at doing this thing as to how to make it the best it can possibly be, and that is the best way to be. Yeah, a community.
Totally.
Yeah,
totally.
I agree.
I think.
Right, Bill, do you want to try and find some sort of conclusion to this whole podcast?
I was about to, Mike, and you just cut me off.
Talking about wrestling for another hour.
Look, we've done this. How many episodes have we done this? I keep telling you, Mike. I keep telling you over and over again. Right, I was about to say, before I was rudely interrupted by my co-pilot, and I'll have a word with him off stream because he clearly hasn't got it from the last whipping I gave him. It's been great talking to you guys, and whether it's about you sort of growing or building community or anything like that, to be honest with you, I just love talking about video games, and especially people who know what they're talking about. The content that you guys are doing and what you do, you have me sort of fist pump in the air going, yes, absolutely, there's my people, as well as sort of seeing what interesting what you're going to come up with next and how you're going to surprise, and that's great. I love talking to you guys about games and all the other people we have, and if the more we can do that, the more I enjoy. So I just want to say thank you from the bottom of our heart for spending some time with us and going through this. You guys have been awesome.
It's been great. Thank you. We don't get invited on many channels, so thank you very much for inviting us on.
Thanks for listening to the Pop Culture Pausecast. Check the channel for other episodes, new podcast every Wednesday. Or, if you're one of the cool ones, you can watch some of my other videos right here on Pop Culture Pause Screen, or maybe catch me live on Twitch every Monday from 7 PM UK time. And show some love to my partner in crime, Mike, over at his YouTube channel, Mike Ritiques. Link in the description. He does some great game reviews, he really does. And if you want some action, adventure, and kick-ass characters in your life, then go over to RagingDestiny.com and get a copy of my book, Raging Destiny, a novel for gamers written by me, a gamer. You won't regret it, and I appreciate your support. That's RagingDestiny.com. You should have links to all of this in the description below, or on screen now for you to click. But for now, it's time to stop talking and go play some bloody video games. Catch you next time.